Come on. Come on, Nick.
Today is July 12th, and the show is under a month out. Things are starting to get rough. We're maintaining tissue right now. So the way that I do that is by training just as hard as I did in the off season. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to do as much volume as I did, but I have to be flirting with that failure, complete muscular failure, as closely as I can without taking myself to a level where I'm gonna hurt myself or bury myself in a hole that we can't get us out of. What's up guys? Nick at the Long Haul Fitness. Today we've got a shoulders and arms workout. I haven't done a shoulder and arm workout video in any of the things I've done, GASP or on here. So something a little different today. We start off with the prime lateral machine. I really like starting off with a lateral like that because it really gets my shoulders firing before I go into a heavy pressing movement like the prime shoulder press. Prime shoulder press is second, and then we go on to the incline prime chest. So we do a little bit of chest in this shoulders and arms workout. We do that because we want to keep the chest frequency higher. So we do the prime incline, we go on to a cable Y raise, a dumbbell single arm lateral, and then on to some arm work at the end, the fluffy stuff. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go hit that prime lateral machine. You'll notice a trend with my lateral movements. I've shown you guys the lateral movements before and my arm path travel. Yeah, I think I said that right. So we want the arms slightly in front of the torso. So we don't want it right here, we're about here, okay? So I'm doing the same thing on this, right? The pressure is just going here, right? I can do a lot more weight on something like this than I can with the dumbbell lateral. One, it's machined, and two, the resistance is closer to the axis of rotation at your shoulder, the fulcrum point of the movement. Arms are slightly in front, and I'm driving through my elbow up to the top until I can't maintain that internal rotation anymore. So for me to go further than this, I would have to externally rotate my shoulder. And at this point in time, I'm not trying to take that through that range of motion. I want to limit this here to limit how much trap I'm doing in the movement. So at this point in time, things are starting to get rough. The last week and then half of the week before that was miserable. Everything felt heavy. My feet felt like they were encased in concrete. Just everything was hard to do. I felt like a narcoleptic. Every time I sat down, I was falling asleep. But we have started to implement some strategies to combat that fatigue. But we had to get to that point so that I could get in the condition that I needed to be in to get to stage. We've started implementing a little bit more food, pulling volume back a little bit. But with those two things, the more food and a little bit less volume, both of those things in combination are going to allow me to continue to keep intensity high so that I can maintain the muscle mass that I have. So you'll notice when I set up on that, I started further back and then I shifted my hips forward. The reason I shifted my hips forward is I don't want to be completely vertical, and the back to this pad is like, it's like 85. It's not quite 90 degrees, but it's pretty vertical. It's not a great position for your arm. We've talked about before, like completely out to the side like that, especially not when you're trying to express strength on a movement like this. So push the hips forward a little bit and tuck the elbows forward slightly. Now it gets a little bit of the upper pec, those upper clavicular fibers, as well as the shoulder, and puts it in a healthier position for you to be able to continue to produce results for a long period of time. There's a lot of words. So that was the top set, 6 to 9. Got to back off 10 to 15. I'm going to be a little more conservative on the back off, 5 pounds instead of 10, and then we go to some chest. Like, I hate being this person, talking about products all the time, but I don't promote anything that I don't use and that I don't like. The Labrada Pro Series stuff has legitimately improved my training. I've noticed a big difference in my overall energy and endurance in the gym. Obviously last week when calories are super low, I've got no energy, I've got no endurance, but the intro could kind of keep me alive a little bit while I was training. And the pump has been just about the only thing that's kept me getting a pump during this time where carbs are super low. Carbs aren't super low at the moment. We've started to add some more in, so I'm definitely getting a bigger pump than I normally do today. But the pump and the intra together is a solid combo as far as your overall work capacity and the amount of stuff you can do in the gym. Everything I do is about comfort for my shoulder when it comes to pressing. As I've talked about a million times, this side's a little bit more compromised, so I like to keep things in mind over there. I don't want to start super deep out of the bottom here. This is as low as the incline goes, so if the incline would go a little bit lower, I could get under the bars a little bit better to where it doesn't start all the way down here. But by putting the blocks under, when I get pressing, now I'm not limited to the range of motion, so the blocks will fall and be out of the way, and now I'm not smacking something at the bottom so that I can still get a full range of motion. But I'm pretty much gonna stop where those blocks would be as I'm pressing. Pause for a second before I press again. Beat that one. There we go. That was a +1. Cuff lateral, a little bit different. This is actually a cable Y raise. So instead of coming out to the side here, I'm actually gonna go a little bit more forward in front of me like I would. I still, on a lateral, I'm out to the side where I'm slightly in front. This is a little bit more of a travel this direction. So on the first lateral movement we did, we were focused on internally rotating, driving the elbow. This one we're actually gonna create a little bit of external rotation at the top so that we can get that full range of motion, get that last little bit of that side delt that does actually help assist in that movement pattern, add that extra little cap to the delt. I noticed a big difference in like this portion here that's like right between the side and the rear from a movement pattern like this kind of pulls it out a little bit, gives you that really broad shoulder look from the side and from the front. 50 pounds is what I'm going with. This cable's heavy. So 15 to 20 for 2 sets is the goal. Dumbbell lateral, single arm. I'm gonna grab this little bar here and lean out to the side. Pause for a quick second between sides. I'm doing unilateral stuff and make sure you have enough energy for both sides. Take a few deep breaths, 30, 45 seconds. Go to the next one so that I have just as much energy on that side as I did on this side I started with. So, anyone who follows Hypertrophy Coach, you know what I'm doing here. If you don't, I would suggest following him first. And then look up seated roller flies, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. We put the foam roller behind our back so that our scapula can move a little bit more freely versus being on the flat bench. So that I can kind of open up and get that chest to move through its full range of motion. I still feel pretty warm, so we're gonna just go into it. 70 for 17 is what I did last time. I think I'm gonna drop that down just a little bit. I had some tissue work done on my pecs and stuff the other week because there was a little bit of tugging. So I'm gonna go to 60. I got 70 for 17, so I'm gonna go to 60 and see if I can't get it up to the 20 mark that we have on here. Elaborate setup for triceps, but the idea here being that my wrist, elbow, and shoulder will all be in line, and I can drive straight through that tricep and keep everything else from moving. The tricep just extends like that. If there's any kind of in or out or anything like that, it can bring other muscles into it. So by keeping everything square, directly in a line, I can apply more force directly to the tricep. Use the same bar to switch the handles for curls. Woo. Back. All right. 140 for 15. Done with that one. Dumbbell skull crushers.
How people forget with their belt under it. So I see them trying to get off. So then I elbow. Hey, strength staying up, dude. Strength staying up. Staying up. Oh, yeah. Yep, yep. I told you I was going
Basically been using the same weight the whole time. I've been doing the, well, the last like 5 or 6 sessions I've been using the 40s, but they're still challenging. I fail in the rep range, so close to failure, maintaining tissue. So last movement, incline cable curl, behind the back cable curl, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm doing single arm, because the other cable that I like to use when I can do both arms is taken at the moment. So I do have to brace a little harder on this because there's a slight rotational aspect. But again, hand, elbow, shoulder all in line. So I'm going to scoot to the side of the cable. My elbow will be behind my body and I'm curling like this. So that elbow stays behind me. I'm never coming here. I want that stretch position so that the bicep can be in its fully lengthened position. Everything else we've done has been kind of in that mid-range. So we want to get that stretched portion of the bicep so we get stronger there to get more muscle. So 2 sets, 10 to 15 reps. Should be fun. She wrote. I appreciate you guys for following along. As always, subscribe, like, share with your friends.